morning. This is what we're going to tie today. It's a good all-round fly in different colours and tied with slightly different materials, but it's a good fly on the Tongariro, on the lakes, on a lot of streams, and it's one that you'd have in your box no matter where you travelled. So we will start. So we start with a hook and we put a bead on it. Now the beads are countersunk on these. So these are smaller hole at this end and it's countersunk in the back. So when we thread it through, we thread it from the small end for the point of the hook. Okay, so now we'll just swap that over. So the next thing we will be putting in is a marabou tail. So these can vary. We're going to put green with black. And then for the body material, I'm just going to use a green mottle chenille. For ribbing, I'm going to use copper wire. And the hooks today I'm using is a Black Magic B8, or you could use a Hannock 900, and there's other ones also, which is barbless. And I've got beads here. The beads are tungsten beads. You can use normal beads. You can vary your colours and what you want. Now, this is a brought dyed grizzle. It's dyed olive, and I'm here using one I've dyed myself, which I've dyed lime green and then put in olive. And the difference is that this shows up UV, where this one here shows up very dark, but then the body will come through. So depending on the effect, always take a UV torch when you're trying materials to see what effect that you want. And then I use a flash, and my main flash now, I've got many, but it's a lateral scale and it's the finest. I can use this on salt water, fresh water, on many flies, and I find it's really, really effective. And for thread today, I'm using a 140 denier. It's wax and it's a flat thread, and it's Danville's. I love this thread. It does well in black and brown, but I'm going to do green today. It's good for fishing, but it's also easier for you to see me tying. So I hope we can get through this with not too many errors. All right, so now I've put that bead on. We're going to bind the hook. So I start here, and I don't do it really thick. It's like cross hatching. So one thread's this way, one thread's that way, and that's all I do. Then I wrap this around. If we get this really bound, that's when we have trouble with the whole fly spinning on the hook. So then we tie that off. Now we start this, the shank I refer to as between where the bend finishes and when the straight piece started. So that is actually where our fly starts, at the end of the straight and the beginning of the bend. So we've done that, and now I will put a wee bit of glue on there, and I just use nail varnish, very little. So the first thing we will do is we'll pick up our olive. I'm going to pull the scruffy stuff off. So then I just get it, pull it up like that until it's looking even. And then we can either pull it or we can just cut it. And I rather do this little bits at a time. Then I pull it together. A little bit of spit and polish, or a bit of water on a bit of something that you can put your fingers in will work. Now some people like it the length, but a lot of people like it longer. So I'm going to go about, well, maybe 1 1/4 length of my hook. So I'm going to put between my thumb and forefinger on top of the hook. Now this is something you'll use all the time in all your flies. They'll come up, catch that, come down, up, catch it, go down. Now see how that hasn't rolled. If I just went round, the whole tail would roll right round. So I'm going to cut that on an angle. You can put a bit of glue on it, because marabou soaks and goes tidy. Right, I don't need to worry about the rest at the moment. And now we'll get another bit of green. I'm going to, with these, you want to use the top tip, cut the tip out because that'll break, and then once I've done that, I can pull that and that's even. All right, so then I just wet that a wee bit, come in, and I tie that in up between my thumb and forefinger, straight down, up, straight down, hold it between the thumb and forefinger, straight down, so it doesn't roll round. And If you learn that, you use that on every fly you'll tie. That looks bulky, but we put a bit of glue on it. And then before you know it, that's just gone tied down really nice. Then we come back, make sure it's at the beginning of the shank. And I'm just going to put a wee bit of black on that. So the same thing, I don't want a lot of black, just a few strands. I just like a change in the marabou. Yeah, if it's think it's too long, you can just pull it like that. Right. So now we come back and make sure that's even. If you want to, you can throw a loop under your tail like that. Sometimes people put a little red tag under here. It's what you personally like. So now, and have an experiment, because that's how we are successful catching fishing, and sometimes it just needs that little bit of difference. So now with my flash, I go under my thread like that, pull it up, hold it there, and then wind it back. I want this on the top. So pick that up and then trim that on an angle about the length of the tail. So that's done. So now we get our chenille. Now you can use sparkle chenille. You can get all sorts of chenilles nowadays. There's sparkles, there's greens, there's mixed colours. These colours work well. You can use mixed dubbing, but with the woolly buggers, the chenille works well. You can use silver gold material. Now with the chenille, there's a grain. It runs that way is rough, this way's smooth. So I'm actually going to pull the top piece of that off, and then we end up with 2 threads. So that there helps me keep my body nice and slim, so I can tie that in without catching all the fluor. So tie that in well. Now I'm going to tie the hackle in. So that's the top of my hackle. It's got the shine on it. That's the underneath. It's not so shiny, and it's curved. So you can see how that's curved. So this is the top. So that's the bit I want facing forward, and I'm going to tie it in from the tip. So this is the butt section. So I'm going to take this fluff off. This makes it easier for you to wind. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull the tip. I want this is only a short feather, so I want most of it. So there's the tip. So I'm actually going to tie, let's get my chenille out of the way. I'm going to tie, you can tie the feather in first, but I've done it the other way around, like that. And then I just like lay that back, make sure it's out of the way and I'm not catching any of the fibres. And then with my copper, I pick that up, do that and get a curve, and then that will go in underneath. And I leave maybe a couple of millimeters. I just come forward of the chenille so that I've got enough room to wind my chenille one turn behind. So I come up here. So now I just use a little bit of glue, and then with my chenille, I'm always winding away from me, holding all my material away. I come one turn behind my copper, and then I come forward. So just pulling my chenille so it's packing but not on top of each other, because I don't want to see the body underneath. It's looking good. So now we come up here with the thread. So I've got this over here. So if I come up here, so I've come up behind the bead, and then I bring that around, and that catches right on the top. So I've tied it in at the top, and I like to finish it at the top. It just gives you a balance to your fly. It's the same with hackling. It's keeping a balance. So one side's even as the other. So now we cut this, leaving a little bit on there, and you should be able to, with your fingers, be able to pull those bits off and see you get those threads, and you haven't got that bolt to tie in. And then I'm going to trim that, do a half hitch so that doesn't all come undone. And now the exciting part is your hackle. So this is the front of the hackle. You can just wind, but if you get your thumb and forefinger again, pull it from the, this is the front, pull it like that and slowly wind. I just pull it, let it go, because it'll, and then we're just ribbing up. We start a bit closer and then we get further apart. You can see that this feather's really webby. And if you've got a cape of feathers you can't use for anything out, it's got marking and it's, you think, oh, just get it in the dye pot and dye it. And actually some of those feathers are some of your best feathers. Or get someone that knows how to dye it for you. But all those feathers on your dry fly capes you can't use, are too webby, are ideal for this sort of thing. Now with the copper, I'm going to come the opposite way, doing a rib, spacing about the same as we did the hackle, and I'm just wiggling through. Some people use a dobbing needle, but I wiggle through because I just feel the fibres will go where they're meant to go naturally. Yeah, so then I wrap my bobbin around that and anchor it, and then come right round again and anchor it again. Some people wiggle it and cut it, but I use my old scissors and I just come in to the base of them, then I push the copper in so it doesn't cut, and then we whip finish this. I do it a couple of times. You can do 3 or 4 half hitches and glue it well, and or you could use a whip tool. Right, so because our thread is waxed, I'm going to use nail varnish. If you want to use UV, you have to put nail varnish under first because it will peel off a wax thread. So there's our lovely woolly bugger, and that will catch a lot of fish. You can have less hackle, you can have more hackle.